Welcome back to Round the Game, an honest conversation with people who have a unique relationship to this game that we love. Today, I've got a really cool guest. Over 28,000 followers on TikTok, over 7.6 million likes on the same platform. A huge Knicks fan and the skit guy in the basketball space. Everybody, welcome Daniel. Thank you for being on.
Oh, that was such a nice intro. It makes me feel so much better about myself. Except for now the part about the Knicks. I used to like that. Now they're in a stretch. It's like, but no, really, thank you. That was a great intro. Thank you. And thank you so much for having me on. Like I always love talking basketball, talking about my journey. It's a really great opportunity. So really, thank you for it.
Yeah, absolutely. For people who may be new to this space or new to you, I kind of want to give you the opportunity to lay groundwork for who you are as a basketball fan. Obviously, we talked about your Knicks fandom, but did your love for basketball start before then? Did it morph with the Knicks? Tell me about your journey here.
So it was a little bit before I like truly became a Knicks fan. I have these memories sort of watching like a little bit of the '09 finals between the Lakers and Magic and watching Kobe win that one. And then the following year, I remember in the playoff, like I was definitely a Knicks fan because I remember one of the reasons why I was following the playoffs, specifically the Celtics at the time, because if you remember, they played the Cavs and they eliminated the Cavs, and I remember wanting the Celtics to beat the Cavs because then LeBron had a higher chance of going to the Knicks. And then I was like, also, I remember watching like that Celtics Magic series where Rondo dove on the ball and picked it up, and then like I followed the finals, and like it's so funny because at the time I was rooting for the Celtics in the 2010 finals because I was like, oh, the Celtics are in the Eastern Conference and so are the Knicks. So like, yeah, rep the Eastern Conference. Whereas like nowadays I would never ever root for the Celtics in the finals. And like, yeah, I remember watching that entire series. And then I think it was the following season where I really consistently just started following the Knicks more, like watching more games and just started following the league as a whole. And that's taken me to where I am now. It's crazy to say I've been like a fan for what like 15, 16 years now. Like that feels really crazy to say because in my head I was like, no, I started watching like a handful of years ago, but it's been a decade and a half at this point, which is just so surreal.
This summer will be 20 years of me being a Celtics fan, and part of me feels like it has been just like a flash in the pan, like so quick, and then part of me is like, oh wow, Father Time comes for us all. I don't think I'm gonna escape this one.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that way because I like blacked out a lot of those Knicks years, like the sort of post Knicks tape, pre Julius Randle years where we had like Derek Fisher, Jeff Hornacek, the Phil Jackson era. Like there were a lot of those years that I blacked out for my own sanity. So like it's definitely made it feel even faster.
Now, we're both content creators. How did that start for you, especially with your skits? I feel like in this space, a lot of it is see and react. There's some X's and O's content. I feel like, especially in the NBA, the skit genre is really lacking outside of you. So, did you always have like this, improv comedy bug in you? You're in New York, so there's like this whole Saturday Night Live feel to this whole thing. So, what was that journey like for you? How did you start doing skits?
So I mean, I'll give you the full story. Is really like my original desire for a career around the game of basketball was the more journalistic approach. Like I remember growing up, I was out in like the prime first take era of Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith, and I would like come home and watch that. And in my head, I was like, they just get to talk. This is when I was in like seventh and eighth grade, so like I was a bit naive, being like, they just get to talk sports for a living. That's literally the coolest job ever. And I don't think I ever really grew out of that. And so like high school, like did a little blogging, like we had like a senior year project and like I wrote a like 260-page book about basketball. And then college came and I was just writing for any blog I could find. I started my own things. I wrote for the school newspaper, just again like pursuing that traditional journalistic route. Then a little bit after college, I started working at this company that unfortunately no longer exists called Buzzer, and it was a sports company. And one of the things my boss said at a certain point was like, "Hey, we want you to sort of pick a platform and sort of like run the content we put on that platform." And knowing how big TikTok was at the time, this was in like the fall of 2021. I picked TikTok and I never really used the app before. I remember like calling my sister being like, how do you put on a green screen? Like the background thing. How does that work? And so I just started posting from there and like I really loved it. It was such a fun opportunity to sort of like try and our philosophy is sort of like how do we take what's trending in sports, what's trending on the platform, and put it together in really fun videos. And I just like really fell in love with it, really enjoyed it. And then after months of doing that, still focusing on my writing a little bit, but then I think at a certain point, it was a combination of a unfortunately being let go from that job, and then having this realization of like, okay, well, I still enjoy making TikTok videos, and like it's fun for me, and that's obviously one of the cool things about the era that we live in is that you don't need someone to hire you to like go and make the content you want. So it was a combination of that and the unfortunate reality of the journalism industry or of the traditional journalism industry where like the written word sort of isn't as popular as it once was. So I was sort of like, okay, journalism is sort of fading. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, and I enjoy making videos and doing TikToks. So I'm gonna pivot to that. I'm gonna pivot to doing more video stuff. And then from there, it was just a journey of just like trying to figure out my niche. I'm sure you've gone through this. I'm sure every content creator goes through this, where it was trying to find the middle ground between what do I like making and what do people like viewing. So it was literally just like like my early TikTok feed was just like a random assortment of just like giving my thoughts on something, stitching something, maybe using a trending audio on the platform. And then at a certain point, I wish I could tell you when. It was like a couple years ago at this point, but I wish I could tell you like the specific video or videos where like I did these skits and they started doing well, and like that was sort of like the indicator of like, oh, this is what people are enjoying. I'm liking this, so let me sort of focus on that, and that sort of became my niche. Because like you said, right, like there's a lot of people who do X's and O's, analysis, breakdown, just thought pieces, whatever. But like I don't know many people specifically in the basketball space who are doing the sort of like comedic angle the way I am with these skits. And so like once they started picking up traction, that was just my indicator of like, oh, this is what I should focus on.
Something that I really appreciate about your content is the sheer amount of content that you put out. And given a particular day, right, on Monday, you do Monday mailbag. So a bunch of people will go in and then you'll be able to give your thought pieces on it. But like, say, Tuesday to Friday, there's anywhere from like 5 to like 15 skits that you put out each and every day. I think I would die if I could if I put out that much content in one single day. If I put out 4 pieces, I'm like, wow, what a day. But how does that look like for your like your script writing process? Is it your goal to just blast the algorithm with you constantly, or is it just something that comes to you in the moment?
Well, I will fully admit, because I think transparency is very important in this industry in terms of realistic expectations of what's possible and what's not. I do want to say that I have been unemployed for a year and change now, so that has been one of the reasons why I've been able to put out so much content. It's not to say that I don't still like work hard and do all this stuff, but it's like for anyone thinking like, oh my god, like how does he do that? Like that's how I do it. Like that's the biggest reason why is because I have the time to do it. I think that's just important to put out there for anyone who would like hear that and be like, oh my, like like that's impossible. Like no, there's a very real reason I do it. I just think transparency is very important. And then beyond that, yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is like as someone who's starting out, like I think when you're starting out in your content creator journey, I think quantity is the most important thing. I think the more you do something, the better you get at it. And so it's just about putting out as much content as possible. And like not only do you then have more eyeballs on things, more views, the more potential for quote unquote success, but you also just naturally get better at the craft the more you do it. And so that's sort of been my philosophy. Part of it is also I can't really help myself. Like I'm very much and I'm trying to get better at this. Like I'm very much like I need to be like posting stuff. Like that's my view of productivity is like it's not enough to like be working on something behind the scenes. It's like no, I need like a concrete like thing that I can point to and be like, oh, like I posted this today, or like multiple things today. And so it's a habit I'm admittedly trying to break, but that is also a big part of it.
Have you been able to crack the algorithm? Because this is obviously anecdotal from my experience, but there have been days, like really busy days, in the when Luka Doncic got traded to the Lakers, for instance. I had posted 6 videos, and 3 did really well. 2 got 20 views and like stayed there forever. I had to take it down and re-upload it just to see if it would get some traction. And at some points, it feels like the algorithm's like, okay, that's enough of you. You can pipe down now. So, is there something like a piece of advice you can give aspiring content creators that you've sort of figured out, or are you just taking a guess like we all are?
I have not figured it out one bit. Like you and like I'm sure like so many other content creators, like there have been times where like so many videos do well. I remember like the beginning of the season for me went really really well. Like multiple videos doing like so insane. Like I remember like a video doing, I think a couple videos doing like in the millions, and then like a bunch more in the hundred thousands, and I was like, oh, this is the new norm. And then it just falls off. I could not tell you what the recipe for the algorithm is, and I think anyone who says that is full of it. I don't think there's a recipe. And again, I think that's sort of why I have that philosophy of put out as much stuff as possible, because I do think there is a method, at least in terms of when you are starting out. Like you just got to get stuff out there. Like you just have to be putting out as much stuff as possible. It's sort of like lottery tickets, right? The more lottery tickets you have, the more chances you have at winning the lottery. So it's sort of that same mentality. But I wish I could figure it out. It's very frustrating and kind of deflating at times to like again have these good stretches, but then also have these bad stretches. I think the only thing you could really focus on, and this is always the thing that like I ultimately come back to, is just, do you think your content is good? Like if you feel like that's the only thing you can control. Forget SEO, forget hashtags, all that stuff. Like, is your content good? I think that's ultimately like I've heard people say like another word for algorithm is just audience. And like is the audience liking your stuff? And so obviously you can't always know until you know, but if you watch a video that you're about to post and you're happy with it and you enjoy it, that's really the only thing you could really hope for. And so like when I watch back some of my videos and like it makes me laugh, that's where I'm like, okay, it might do good, it might not, but like I can only control so much. I can only be confident in the content that I'm creating, and everything else is sort of out of my hands. And so if you're just confident with it and you feel like it's really good, or you feel like it's sort of progressing in the way you want it to, like that's all you can really hope for.
I've been really fortunate to bring a lot of really cool guests onto this series and during my season previews last year. And there's been this through line with them of authenticity and liking or making content that you actually like. And I think that's probably like the biggest piece of advice. Like I'm making content for me. If I were to find it on my For You page, I go, oh yeah, I like that. And I'm not a circus monkey. I'm not performing for somebody else. I'm doing this for me. So if you're an aspiring content creator, just make stuff that you like. Someone else is going to like it as well.
100,000%. It just goes back to like, you always hear the cliche. I know Kobe Bryant said this, where it's like you need to like enjoy the journey. Like you have, like if you're trying to like build this up to a point, you have to enjoy the journey. Like it's too long, it's too stressful, it's too arduous of a thing to not enjoy it. And so part of that is like you have to enjoy what you're making. It has to bring you joy and like feel like a sense of satisfaction. Whereas if you're doing stuff just for the algorithm, yeah, there might be a point where you're enjoying it because of the success, but like to reach that point is just I just don't, it's just a hard thing to outlast because the journey to that success just takes so long. So like you got to figure out a way to enjoy the process of it all.
I am curious about specifically how you watch games now with this skit mentality in mind. Obviously, even with League Pass, you can't watch every game. So, how does you gathering information work? Like, I'm sure that you're watching a game in the evening and picking and choosing things, but with 10 other games going on every single day, how does the breakdown look like for you?
When it comes to the creation of the skits, it's less about watching games so intently and more about like sort of like looking at it afterwards and sort of like taking a step back and being like, okay, like what are the biggest storylines of the night? And sometimes that's a lot easier to do than other. Like some nights just have like really awesome storylines. Like I remember once, if you recall, like it was a couple weeks ago on like on one night, it was like Denver had that shorthanded win over Philly, and then Kevin Durant hit a game winner. Jimmy Butler missed a game winner. The Pistons blew out the Knicks. And I think one or two things that I'm forgetting, but like so that's one of those days where I think I had like, oh, and like the Hornets blew out OKC at home in Oklahoma City. So that's one of those days where it's like, okay, like there's like I have like maybe too much to work with. Um, but like other days you sort of have to get a little bit more creative. And then from there, it's just sort of like thinking about, it's like taking the time to think about what's funny about this stuff. Like, what can I turn into a comedic moment? And again, sometimes that's easier than others. Like, sometimes the joke sort of writes itself. Other times you have to sort of like really sit and think of it and like try and like pull references from previous stuff. But I do think that is such a big thing that I'm actually trying to get better of is like think for like sit, think for a second and try and see what you can come up with. I remember on Friday I was like trying to find an angle for Klay Thompson passing Damian Lillard for fourth on the all-time three-point list. And like the original idea was, he loves the number four because like four rings, so add that. But then like I by like taking some time to think about it, I was able to add this like little layer like right at the end where it's like Damian Lillard comes in and then he's like, "Oh, you took everything from me. Like, what else haven't you taken from me? Like, like obviously Warriors have beaten the Blazers so many times. Takes the spot in the 3-point rankings, and then just Klay turns to him. And he's like, "You had your chance in 2019," and just that little bit of an ending, I think, just made the skit like so much more enjoyable for me, at least. Which, as we just said, like is the whole point. That I don't know if I would have like if I had just gotten the first draft of idea and posted it, like it wouldn't have been as good. So it's just about like taking the time to think about it, figuring out what references you can pull, just like because again, that's one of the benefits of being an NBA fan for 15 years at this point is like you just have a lot of memories and a lot of things to go off of. Someone also who like has also followed, like who knows the game before that. Like I do consider myself a, I don't know if historian is the right word, but just like I know stuff that happened before I was watching. Like I've done my homework. So just sort of like having the patience to just like think and just think like, okay, like what's funny about this, and then from there just like fleshing it out into an actual script and video.
I'm kind of curious now. Change is such a big issue for every people, especially content creators. You never want to stray away from something that you're like known for necessarily, but that's what you've started to do. You've started to allow more like opinion pieces in you, start to like analyze the game. How different is that between doing that and doing the skits, and how scared were you when you did it the first time?
Yeah, it's definitely a tough thing at first. Certainly when your username is your video ideas, you sort of strap yourself to that for better or worse. I think for me, it wasn't so scary because I think it was sort of what was being asked of me. Like I know people had started to say like, "Oh, would love to hear your thoughts on this," and like I think a couple of times I'd posted videos just like asking for just genuine feedback of like, "Hey, what am I doing great? What am I not doing great? What do you guys want to see from me?" And like a few people were saying like, "Yeah, we want to hear your thoughts." And I think it also came at like an important time, or the right time, I should say, because I think if I had just started my account and then just start saying my thoughts on the game, yeah, again, it would have been fun for me. But like I said, it's sort of the balance of what do I like making, what do people like viewing. And so for me, it's sort of like, oh, who's this guy? Why should I listen to him? Whereas to sort of start doing that once I have a bit of a following, it's like, no, people are asking for this. And once people are asking for it, now, okay, that feels like the time. And it's definitely different because it's just different type of videos. It's more just like me talking to my phone of just like giving my thoughts on like the biggest storyline from the previous night. But like I enjoy it because as much as I love making the skits, sometimes there are moments where I'm like, I just want to talk about like just talk normally like you would with your friend about this specific moment. Like last week when the Warriors, when it was reported that Jonathan Kuminga has demanded a trade from the Warriors, I'm just like, are you kidding me? And so like, yes, I turned it into a skit, but then sometimes I also just want to hit record and just yell at the camera that this saga needs to end like right now. So that's just been like a nice opportunity to sort of like open that aspect of my fandom as well. And as far as like the Monday mailbag stuff goes, that it's sort of like a similar thing. Like it allows me to talk about the game, but I think that was also just a great opportunity for me to just like connect with people who view my content. Like I didn't start doing that because I was like, oh, these videos I think have such great view potential and they're gonna go viral. No, that was more just about like connecting with fans, people who love my content, like just giving them a chance to like interact, because I think that's always such a big thing in being a content creator is sort of like how do I take down the wall as much as possible between like the screen, like how do I interact as much. That's why I always try and comment on as many or leave or reply to as many comments as I can, just try and like take down that divide between the viewer and the creator as much as possible.
You have to get the people what they want ultimately at some point. I think it's very unique when you do switch up the formula a little bit. I have recently started posting, I don't want to call them X's and O's breakdowns because I'm not like talking about a horn set or a Spain pick and roll or anything, but I'm breaking down individual player game film and walking them through what they see in the moment. Because when you're watching the game, it's like that. It's just like an instantaneous thing. So I'm like slowing the game down to show what this player is thinking in that moment to get to whatever position. And the first one I ever did was a Euro League breakdown, which is I'm already fighting an uphill battle with that just because of the
Yeah,
audience that
how'd you land on EuroLeague to start?
oh, I watched the EuroLeague. I'm a sicko. I I was watching the game and went, "Oh, that's really cool. I'm going to talk about that." And then just paused the game, rewound it and did this whole thing. But I was already fighting an uphill battle with the EuroLeague, and then I posted it and it got like I don't know, 25 likes. I'm like, "Ugh, yikes. Guess I'm not going to do this anymore." And then I got over myself and started posting them more and more. I posted one yesterday about Michaela Blake, who plays for Vanderbilt, and she had 38 against Mississippi State, and she was just like carving up the defense. So at the point that you get over yourself about feeling weird that you're not doing this thing that you're known for, I think it starts to become second nature.
Yeah, for sure. And but I think also for me it was sort of a well, it's funny because like there was an argument of like I remember speaking to someone about it and they were like, no, like you gotta expand. Like there is an argument of like you don't want to stray from what you're known for, but there's also the argument of like you don't want to be a one trick pony and just do one thing over and over again. Like you want to expand and keep growing. So that was definitely like the mindset that I had and why I did it. Um, yeah, and like it was definitely like a little scary, but it's just like at the end of the day, like you got to keep growing, you got to keep giving fans new ways to interact with you. And I think also the reason why I still felt confident in it was that like the Pat Riley line, the classic line of you got to keep the main thing. Like that's sort of what I still try and do is like I'm known for the skits, people love the skits. So it's like as long as I'm keeping up a consistent output of skits, well then I can create anything else I want. Like as long as like the stuff that people expect from me is still there, then I could go out and try and expand stuff. I think it's when you start doing new stuff at the expense of what you're known for, that's when it starts to get a little bit dicey.
I do have one last question for you before we start transitioning into this little game and start plugging all your stuff. In your videos, you've mentioned that you're a man of faith. And in Judaism, there are particular holidays that require you to take a break, for lack of a better term, like Rosh Hashanah, like Yom Kippur. It's like Shabbat. You take a break from electronics and you spend time with your family, be close to them. It's like a reset period for you. There have been particular times that you've mentioned where you miss very vital things that happen in this sport that we love. Is there one that sticks out above the others? It's just like the worst possible thing to miss while you have turned your phone off.
There's been yeah, so I'll sort of elaborate on it. Yeah, so for those who don't know, I am an observant Jew, which for me, like among a few things, means keeping Shabbos, which means from sundown Friday night to sundown Saturday night, you don't use any technology, you turn off your phone, you don't drive a car, you don't use TV, like any of that stuff. You just kind of go zero dark 30 for 25 hours, I believe, and then like an extension of that, as you mentioned, is the Jewish holidays like Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Pesach, Shavuot, all those things. And so yeah, like it's definitely like just as like a pure basketball fan, it's definitely deflating at times to feel like you're missing out on certain moments or even just like the anticipatory like oh I wish I could watch this game. It's like like plenty of basketball games get played on a Friday night and I can't watch them. Thankfully like the Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur holidays like those take place sort of like during like training camp like before the season so that doesn't really affect me. But at the same time like it's just something that like I really like. Shabbos I think is just like a really practical thing that I think everyone would benefit from just in terms of like a just getting off your phone for 25 hours and getting to spend like real authentic time with the people you love, like whether that's family or friends. Like we all do like big meals, like potluck meals, and like it's just so fun. And to just like take that rest from your phone again, particularly in this era that we're in where like everything's about technology and everyone's on their phones or laptops at all times, it is really great. So like I definitely wouldn't trade it. But yeah, like there is that just like the reality of like hey, like sometimes like doing one thing means sacrificing something else. And so I have unfortunately missed out on some really great NBA moments. I know the one that sticks out for me the most would probably be Steph Curry's game 4 against Boston, like arguably the best, most important performance of his career. And that's also another thing, like the NBA schedules, like every year, I don't know if you've noticed or if anyone else has noticed, like the NBA final schedule is the same every year, not in terms of the date of the month, but in terms of the day of the week, it follows the same schedule. And so game fours are always on Friday night. So I can't watch. So I haven't watched the game 4 of the finals. Like I remember in 2021 when it was Bucks Suns for some reason like that COVID year like they like moved it and so I was able to watch every game. I don't remember how, but I wish they would go back to that. But since then, I just haven't. So like, yeah, like you miss Steph Curry's like iconic game, and like, yeah, that still kind of bothers me. Or I remember I found out Kawhi and PG were going to the Clippers like a day after it, like later that night and stuff like that. I found out Karl Anthony Towns was traded to the Knicks because someone mentioned that the next one, like, it's just so there's definitely like a bit of FOMO that you have just again, just like as a basketball fan, because I love watching basketball, because I love being a part of all this stuff. But I will say the trade-off of just like getting to spend a lot of great quality time with your friends and family to connect to your religion, I think is also really special in its own way, and I certainly wouldn't give it up and don't plan on it.
I definitely think that going zero dark 30, like you said, is great for anybody. Even if you're
It's
not
so
a part of Judaism, if you're not like a practicing person of faith, just the meditation portion, just for like your own
right.
mental health of just turning it off would be great for a while.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. It's not even like a religious thing. I just think it's like particularly in the age today where like everyone's on their phone or on their laptop, but there's a screen in front of everyone. I remember at you know, an old coworker of mine. I remember we had like a meeting and like he mentioned that like, yeah, I'm trying to like stay off my phone like on Sundays, and it's been like really nice, really awesome. And I'm just like, do I have a religion for you? I didn't actually say that because that's too much. Um, but like, yeah, it just has like a lot of practical benefits, and it really is so nice. And it's something I try not to take for granted. Of just like every week, you just get to spend like genuine quality time with people and really just hang out and like be so present. It really is so much fun, and it's also how you meet so many awesome people because you're part of this community that does it. It's how I've met many of my friends today, and so it just really is special, despite you know sometimes not being able to watch an ESPN, or I guess now it's Prime games on Friday night.
I think it's been a great conversation. Really appreciate you hopping on and doing this. Before we start plugging all your stuff, I do have a little game for you, just a little this or that. I'll give you a couple scenarios, and you can only pick one. If you're ready, I'm ready.
Are these basketball related or just
Yes, they are all basketball related.
okay? Good. Okay.
This one, I'm really going to put your feet to the fire. So there have
Okay.
been particular moments in Knicks history where you all have gotten really close to landing superstars. So would you have rather gotten LeBron in 2011 or a combination of, it was going to be two of the three, of KD, Kyrie, or Kawhi in 2019?
Do we get LeBron and Amari?
Yes. Yeah,
Like
that's the duo.
Amari still yeah, I think I'd go LeBron just because like this was LeBron right before he hit the peak of his powers. And like, you know, you have Amari, you still have the stuff to, if not trade for Melo, trade for someone else. And like, I don't know how much confidence I have in the Knicks' ability to build a contender around either of those scenarios. But I just think like, if that's the case, then I'm just going to go with the best player, who again, like hadn't even hit his peak, or he has like four different peaks. I don't know. But like knowing what we know about how great he was, I would like take LeBron and then figure out the rest because he was LeBron about to enter his apex.
I was listening to Pablo Torre Finds Out, and they uncovered the Kawhi Leonard pitch deck for the Knicks, and they had like Jay Farrow come in and do this whole skit like Saturday Night Lifestyle. And then it really hit me. I was like, oh, they really had a chance to pair Kevin Durant and Kawhi. And then they, you know, obviously they all went their separate ways. I'm like, that would have been elite, elite. That would have been dangerous.
One of my biggest NBA, I don't know if it's I don't think it's a conspiracy theory. I don't think that's the right word, but like theories or beliefs is that I think Kevin Durant goes to the Knicks if he doesn't tear his Achilles. I will believe that until my last breath. I think all year long we saw everyone and everyone report talking about how he's going to the Knicks. It's a done deal, blah blah blah. And I don't think those reports came from nowhere. And again, they were like real credible, like high level people saying it. I don't think that stuff came out of nowhere. I think what I do think is I think Kyrie definitely wanted to go to Brooklyn. I think there was that argument there, but I think Durant at the time, pre Achilles tear, was like, "Well, I'm Kevin Durant. I can go here and I can figure out the rest afterwards because I'm Kevin Durant. Everyone's going to want to come play with me in New York." But I think once he tears his Achilles, it's this feeling of I don't know what I'm going to be after this. Like he just didn't know what the future held with him, and he didn't know if he would have that same sort of reputation in terms of being able to recruit guys to New York, So he's just like, I'm just gonna go with Kyrie in Brooklyn. Like him talking about, no, it was always Brooklyn. That's a flat out lie, in my humble opinion, and not biased opinion at all. But that's sort of my theory. But honestly, it didn't even work out that well for Brooklyn for a bunch of other reasons. I'm not. It really is one of the craziest things ever. Like that, just entire stretch of the Nets and how they still, like, I think that was the ultimate nail in the coffin for the Nets' desire to try and take over New York. Like, if you couldn't do it when you had Durant, Kyrie, and then Harden, while the Knicks were like, eh, it's like go back to Jersey, and I say that in the nicest way possible. Go back, like it's not gonna happen. Like,
Tapping back into your content now, who's more fun to dunk on and make fun of? Is it the Sacramento Kings or the Charlotte Hornets?
yeah, Kings fans think I hate them because I talk on them all the time. Like, so who's more fun? You said.
Yeah, who, in your personal opinion, who do you like to dunk on more?
I think it's the Kings, just because like the Hornets have been bad, no doubt about it, but like they haven't been as like laughably horrible as the Kings have had a bunch of things where you're like, what the hell are you guys doing? The Hornets, I can't necessarily speak to any like blatantly like hilariously bad things that they've done. Certainly not off the top of my head, right? They've just been bad. They haven't drafted well, injuries, all that stuff. Whereas like the Kings, it's like, yeah, let's draft Marvin Bagley at number 2 over Luka Doncic, which I'll never understand. I never understand why, if you wanted a big man, you didn't go Jaren Jackson Jr., who just seemed like much more of a fit in the modern NBA. Whereas Marvin Bagley felt like he was more in like the Amari Stoudemire mold, like 20 and 10, mid range shooter, not such a good defender or rim protector. So that was confusing. And then they draft Tyrese Halliburton to pair with De'Aaron Fox, and that's like one of the few good moves they've made. And then they trade Tyrese Halliburton, which was met with laughs across the entire league. But then they get Sabonis, and then they get back to the playoffs, and it's actually kind of a good move. But then you sort of just just absolutely obliterate everything from the inside, to the point where, what is it, like 2 3 years later now, and things are just like they're just back to being the Kings. Like, you fire Mike Brown, even though everyone loved him. You trade De'Aaron Fox. I still don't know what they got back for De'Aaron Fox. I think technically it was Zach LaVine because it was a 3-team trade, but like, oh my God, that's so bad. So it's like, and now you hear all these reports constantly about how they're looking for a point guard. And it's just like, you had 2 All-Stars. So it's like, it is like, I don't like to do it sometimes from the standpoint of it's too easy. Like sometimes I want to like try and like get creative and like try and think like, okay, like how, like what other angle can I take? Like I remember I put out a video where it was Anthony, this is a couple weeks ago, where Anthony Edwards became the 3rd youngest player to reach 10,000 career points. And so I was like playing him, and then it was like, yeah, like, if I keep up at this pace, I could probably pass LeBron on the scoring list by the time the Kings make their next playoff appearance. And like that one felt like a low blow, admittedly, because the Kings had nothing to do with that video whatsoever. Nothing. Like it wasn't even like they had played the Kings. Like that one felt like a low blow. Like in general, they just have so much more material. Again, not just being bad and not drafting well, but just objectively hilariously stupid moves that I think even Kings fans would admit. Like, yeah, we don't know what they're doing. Whereas like the Hornets, like I can't really think of anything that they've done that compares to even one of those Kings moments. So it's got to be Sacramento for me.
And then this last one, we're going to tap back into your Knicks fandom. Would you have rather won a title with a Carmelo team, think 2013, for instance, or win one with this current team? And no, the NBA Cup does not count.
I know the NBA Cup doesn't count, but I still acted like like I remember like the day of the game, I posted on my Instagram story like, guys, Knicks fans, like it's a lose-lose. Either we lose and we suck because we couldn't even win something as meaningless as the cup, or we win it and like naturally like are happy about it and we're clowns for celebrating something as stupid as the cup. So it's a lose-lose. That's such a good question though. Because like Melo, I love Melo, and it would do so much to his legacy if he were able to not only win a championship but do it in New York. Like that would be iconic for someone who I think I like. I don't know if you've seen this post where like it was talking about how like Melo's, like every aspect of Melo's legacy just continues to get sort of overtaken by someone else. Where it was like Harden took his spot on the all-time scoring list, LeBron took his Rookie of the Year, Brunson took his city, LaMelo took his nick, like everything. Durant took his spot as like the greatest Olympian. So to have that ring in New York would have been iconic stuff. but Brunson doing it like just like sort of the narrative of this team I think has been so awesome, and his story has been so good in terms of like being this like like solid free agent signing but nothing special. In fact, a lot of people actually clown the Knicks for making all those moves to free up the cap space to sign Jalen Brunson, and then the way he's just taken over the city. I'm like trying to differentiate also because it's like I have to remember that like if the Melo one happens, then the Brunson one doesn't. Like, oh, I think I want to lean Melo like just because I feel like he just deserves it way more than Brunson does, just from a standpoint of this dude is like one of the greatest scorers of all time who doesn't get the respect he deserves. Whereas Brunson, obviously still a great player, a lot of respect. Like it's just like different levels. Like I'm sure as you know, like Brunson could very well be in the Hall of Fame, but like he's not on like that mellow level. But at the same time, like, oh god, this is so tough. Like, but at the same time, like again, like I didn't watch so much of the Knicks struggles before Melo got there, so I don't know if it would feel as satisfying as the Brunson title would because I've been watching the Knicks for so long. Oh, like, oh god, that's really is the best question you could have asked me. Melo, like that's the thing. It's like on a player level, like I think I want it for Melo, but I think for myself, selfishly, I think I want to say the Brunson one, just because I think it would cap off like a truly satisfying story. And again, for me, selfishly, like having watched the struggles of the sort of end of Melo's tenure, and then post Melo's tenure with Porzingis and then everyone else, like having watched those struggles, and then to see this sort of like that's also the thing about the Brunson era is that like everything that's been happening now has just been so unexpected. Like it's not like we signed a LeBron or a Durant. It's like we like Julius Randle was the consolation prize of that Durant Kyrie free agency. He comes in, we hire Tibbs. Maybe I remember thinking like I wish we hired him 5 years ago, but whatever. They get us back to the playoffs. And then we sign this Jalen Brunson guy who obviously solid point guard, but nobody thought this was going to happen. And then we like do all these like we make all these trades. I, like it hurts to do Melo like that because I want him to have it. But I think selfishly like it would just be so awesome if like this year, for example, it would just all be capped off with a championship. It would just be so. Also, as someone who lives in New York City, I mean that party would just be so incredible. I'm waiting for it. It's I hope it happens because it would be so great. And like as someone who's lived in the city for the last few years and got to like be part of like the vibes of this great Knicks team, to cap it off that way would just be so incredible. So I think both answers feel right. Brunson, let's go Brunson. I don't feel good about it. No Mel. I don't. I want both. I want both in separate universes. We can do that now. The multiverse. The Mel in
Marvel said
one.
so.
Yeah, Marvel said so. Everyone else said so. I don't feel good about either answer. Which is how you know it's a good question. That was a really great question.
I think it was a great conversation. Really appreciate you hopping on. Where can people find you? What are you working on? Tell me all the places that people could connect with you.
Oh, but also imagine a J.R. Smith in New York City Championship.
The Henny God just running the streets of New York.
That's what I'm saying. You think Cleveland was crazy? When I think Cleveland was crazy, imagine him winning in New York. Where can people find me? They can find me everywhere. They can find me on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube. It's at NBA Skit Guy. Yeah, that's it. That's where you can find me. I hope you guys can find no, literally whether you're on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube. I'm also on Twitter at the Big Lebowski. I should probably change that to NBA Skit Guy too, just for consistency's sake. But yeah, like if you guys like I'll say this sort of about my content. It's one of the things I've sort of realized about it is that like there's always like everyone consumes the game of basketball in different ways. Everyone follows the game of basketball in different ways. Some people obviously watch the games. Some people watch highlights. Some people watch X's and O's breakdowns. Sometimes people read articles, listen to podcasts, all of that stuff. So if you're looking for a way to follow the game in a way that is going to make you laugh, that's just going to poke fun at all the drama, because we all say like the NBA is the best drama around. If you're looking for just like a way to follow the game that doesn't really take itself so seriously, that is just going to make you laugh, that I think tries to showcase all the good and awesome stuff about the game of basketball, because there really is so much, despite what the haters might say. If you're looking for like that new fresh, unique way to follow the game that's going to make you laugh, that's just going to bring out positive, happy emotions. Come check me out. Again, like I said, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube at NBA Skit Guy. Hope you come, hope you stay, hope you engage. It's a lot of fun, in my opinion, but I'm not biased at all.
All of those links are going to be in the description. My links are also going to be in the description. You can find me literally everywhere that you can think of: Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, literally everywhere. I also have a Discord community that I would love for you to be a part of. That's going to do it for Daniel. That's going to do it for me. Be kind. Tell somebody you love them. I'll see you in the next one.
Barely scraping by, trying to stop puffing. I'm trying to be one of the greats.